Marvin Winans, no different than a lot of pastors standing in pulpits. They fleece people financially, and it doesn't bother them. They've been doing it for so long, it just comes second nature to them. And the reason why it didn't bother him to say that to that woman, his attitude is, I say the same thing different ways. Usually I say it in a more skillful, tactful manner, but the bottom line is, give me your money. We have a lot of leaders right now who are making a concerted effort to get as much money in their coffers as possible because they see the economic tide that we are facing as a nation. And you need to be aware of that. Once you give someone your money, you're not guaranteed on what they're going to do with it. Marvin Winans isn't going to use that money for that dilapidated building that he did not finish. He's not going to do that. He's trying to get as much money as he can before people start realizing that they have to go back to Great Depression era of tightening your purse strings. That's what that's going to be about. I'm just being honest with you because he's going to turn around and say, "Well, with everything going on in the economy, it's kind of hard right now to do the bill, so that's on hold. That's on pause for now." You see. But what it's really about, my love, is he's trying, him and so many other leaders, pastors, are trying to get as much of the black dollar as possible in their pocket. They are scared, they are afraid, and they trying to get as much money before you figure out don't you can't afford to give nobody no money right now. That's what it's about. They're all doing it. I'm watching it go down in real time. Another example of that, let me show you something real quick. Um, AdSense checks are paid mid-month, right? Okay, let me help you. All of the money that's being made and generated on YouTube, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, that money's paid at the middle of the month, right? So all of the drama, all of the tea, all of the scandal, all of the big brouhaha, it's intended and designed in a way to get as much engagement as possible, increase that engagement, maintain that engagement as long as they can, because these checks in drama and tea and broadcast are all for November check. See, they're trying to have a good Thanksgiving, a good Christmas. I just showed you something. Everything you're watching, it is 100% manufactured beef and drama. It's strategic, it's deliberate. You will witness people who, air quotations, don't like each other or whatever, all of a sudden talking about each other or talking to each other because, baby, it's about money. And everybody right now are trying to pull as much money as they can right now on every dimension because they understand, unlike most listeners, right now is not the time to spend no money. They are also rolling out a strong foundation to go back to that COVID dynamic of having your eyes and your ears, because if they have your eyes, they have your ears, they also have your money. People were trapped in the house, everything was online, and they were making millions. So that's no exaggeration. They made more money than they had ever made on social media before. They haven't seen that same type of money post. Now we out and about with vaccines and everything. So now we're coming into an economic crisis that is rooted, number one, primarily is spiritual, and number two, it's political, number three is social, right? So if they can't get your money by talking to you about things of the kingdom, then they're going to talk to you about politics. And if they can't get you with that, they'll talk about race. All right. And you're engaged and you're going to give your eyes, your ears, and your money. Marvin Winans, his approach was what he pulled in church Sunday. But I'm trying to let you know across the board, those who know anything about politics, know anything about money in a real way. Okay. I'm not trying to be inflammatory. I hope you don't take it that way. Honey, they're trying to get their money and secure themselves because you're about to see Great Depression era things occur in this country, and it's already starting. It's here. It's not coming, honey. It's here. Because you will realize very quickly that even after the shutdown ends, somehow it's still going to continue this theme of lack, less, and least, right? And scarcity. And it's not going to make sense to you. So the narrative is to keep the shutdown going as long as possible because at least that makes sense to you, right? But that's not the reason, honey. A lot has changed. Okay. As far as the policies, politics, and money in this country, we have a lot of people cut ties with us, doing business with us as a country, and it's hurting us across the board. Okay. Um, it's about money, honey. I'm sorry uh, that we are not good at really studying people and paying attention to behavior, and we still hold on to this dysfunctional dynamic of being loyal to our detriment. That's what we do. We have a very nasty habit of always hinging everything on what we like, who we like, looking for a reason to dislike. And that leads us to a situation where you box yourself in with people who exploit you, take advantage of you, and above all, steal from you. Talk to you like you nothing. Talk to you like you an animal. Actually make demands and tell you what to do and give them this and give them that. And you actually comply. It's dysfunctional. It's unhealthy. And it is to your detriment if you continue this behavior at this time. I am not advising you to stop going to church, but you need to pay attention. They need to eat. Ministry is a very unstable income. I've been telling people for over a decade, your pastors cannot afford to not have employment, gainful employment, something that they do to make their own money because tithes and offering isn't enough to sustain their lifestyle. Majority of pastors, majority of they can't afford that. They can't. Let's talk some more about the church real quick and touch on something that I mentioned in the Black Mystics video. Number one, the large problem that I identify in the Black church is that we don't understand or implement that really the primary church it is marriage, right? And the family. And we don't understand the revelation that's found within the description, the function, the origin of the tribes. Okay. We ignore that. We ignore that each one of those tribes had a very distinct purpose, skill set, ability, region that they controlled. And we kind of see it with elite, wealthy white people. When we hear Morgan, we immediately think JP Morgan, the Morgan family, we immediately think about banking. We immediately think about investments, right? When we hear Rockefeller, we immediately think about oil, right? So those are just two examples. When we hear Kellogg, we immediately think about health and nutrition and wellness, right? And this holistic approach to health. But the Black community have not learned how to understand your families in a way that you have a very distinct purpose as a tribe, to start viewing your families as distinct tribes, right? And I'm trying to show you something. Your thing may be commerce, for someone else, it may be English, it may be math, it may be sports, but your family has a specific lineage and purpose in the body of Christ. May it be your reverend, your bishop, your apostle, your prophet. That family has a purpose in the kingdom, right? When it says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord," he's talking about his family, right? He's talking about his descendants. They have a very distinct purpose in the kingdom, and they bring that into whatever church or ministry they belong to. That was another dynamic that made the Black church so powerful. It was families, not just one little family. They were multi-generational families in one church. And so they were powerhouses. And if you look at what they created dynamics that made the civil rights movement successful because of those family names. We don't have that right now. The names we remember are the celebrity, the gospel singer names, and that's where we messed up. We will remember the names of the mega pastor church names. That's where we messed up. We missed the opportunity to maximize the gift callings and abilities of the various families that sit right there in your pews and your chairs, and the purpose that they serve for the kingdom, the purpose that they serve for society, and that gift, that grace on their life and their families is sitting right there in your church. They were just diminished to money, people they can get money from. The only way we will make it through this season is the establishing and recognition and the function of families operating almost like the 12 tribes of Israel function and operated. They all belonged to a whole, but they all had distinct personalities, behaviors, traits, gifts, and abilities. And that's how they were able to prosper. Prosper. Notice the word I said, prosper. People just whitewash it down to Jews. You have no idea that all of them trace their lineage back to one of those 12 tribes, every single last one of them. This is why Judaism is considered a closed practice, and people don't realize that because all of them trace genetically their DNA. They associate it specifically with a specific tribe, and they govern themselves accordingly, and they all come together in worship. But what they believe about the family is what makes them so powerful when it comes to money and how they handle business and how they handle hardships, right? Everybody was calling, Jewish people, they were thieves, they were schemes, they were swindlers, and everything else. No, they weren't. They had a strategy in hard times and in the depression. It didn't make sense to people. They didn't understand it. They were smart enough that everyone weren't doing the same thing. That's what they did. That's why it works. And we have to do the same thing. Before I forget, I don't know if you all noticed, but with the those who support Christianity being used as a medium of hatred and racism, they literally carbon copied the blueprint for the civil rights movement back in the 50s. That is what they're using. They're associating, of course, they're fueling it with hatred and racism, but as far as how they implemented it, how they carried it out, it's 100% coming out of our blueprint that we created in the 40s and the 50s that was extremely successful. And of course, they're ignorant. So the interpretation is flawed in a way, but you can see it step by step that they're doing it. I've been looking at some of the numbers for a lot of the Christian lobbyists who were associated with Charlie Kirk and all of these different entities. And I realized a staggering number. Together, they have almost $1 billion in donations. And they work and they go from church to church spreading their messaging. These people really believe they part of the army of God, that Black people are their enemy. Black people are not real Christians. Black people are people of hatred. They view us really as their enemies, and it is alarming and dangerous. And so instead of them saying it's a race war, they're calling it a faith war, a spiritual war. It is the Christian against the demons, the Christians against the devils. And that's the messaging that's being shared all throughout these churches. They're having a lot of revivals and conferences that they've had more of them in the past 36 months than they have had collectively in the past 15 years. That's how intense it is right now. And they're not stopping or slowing down. Why am I telling you this right now? Because they're being given directions and information using the Bible. We have nobody who are leading the Black community to speak to us about what is going on, what's happening, what to do next, how to assemble ourselves, how to protect ourselves. We do not have that coming from the church. What we have coming from the church right now, people are being very self serving. They've left us vulnerable, unlike the Christian leaders of the past. Black Christian leaders of the past at least protected us. They helped us. They pulled us in. Our own now pull us in to exploit us. So they're also the enemy at this time. I'm saying it just like I mean it. You cannot submit yourself at this time to anyone who are not discussing, not know us versus them, but looking at the spiritual revelation of how the civil war is being manufactured, how it's being designed, and what they're doing with it, and what they plan to do to us because of it. People, when they're desperate, make very unnatural decisions. When people are hungry, when people are afraid, they don't know how they're going to take care of their families, they don't know what they're going to do. Desperate people are dangerous people. And so what they've done is set the foundation in this country where people are desperate. Even the people supporting this hateful vitriol and this foolishness and lies, they're desperate and they're afraid. And so you already have the very early stages of what is in fact a civil war that is occurring, and it's going to be violent. And that's because as Black people in our community, as believers, we've been lazy at our post. We have not been watchmen. We have not been on the wall. We have not been receiving accurate and real information, because if we did, there's no way in God's green earth the Black community would be blindsided and mollywopped the way we've been. And it goes beyond just voting. Okay. There's no way with the kind of power the Black voters have that we should have been last minute asking for Vice President Harris as our presidential nominee. That should have never happened. But we sat there and let it happen. What I'm saying to you is get on your guard post. Quit, get your behind offline, listen to these people tea and drama. They just want some money. Your eyeballs and your time, they are not helping you, and they are not preparing you. They stealing your most precious asset and currency you have, and that's your time. Your time. All of them. They want your time and your money. And they're not giving you anything to deal with what we're facing right now. Nothing. I'm going to say this and then I'm leaving. Someone noticed and called to my attention that Black leaders were telling Black people to not go to the No Kings rally. Let me say this clear. You mean to tell me that people can put on a uniform and be willing to die for your freedom, be killed, lead their family, lead their children for your freedom, and you have the audacity to feel like it's too much for you to walk down a street so these same people who are willing to die for you can eat? Are you crazy? Are you that ignorant and selfish? Let me be clear again. You have people who die to ensure you don't have Russians, you don't have Koreans, you don't have the Chinese, you don't have anybody marching up and down the street controlling you and killing you stone dead, setting you and your family house on fire. You don't have that. because so many were willing to lose their life to make sure that you are given and afforded the liberty that you can do something as easy as get up off your hind parts, walk down a street, and hold a sign. And you got the nerve talking about, oh, let white people do it. Oh, white and black people wear that uniform. You understand me? You have Nigerians wear that uniform. You have people from the Congo who wear that uniform. You understand? And when you get to the point that you can care less about somebody to that point, something is wrong with you. You're selfish and you will not survive this because you're not thinking clearly. If you actually think selfishness is the way to go about it, then you're following your favorite leaders then. You don't care nothing about nobody but yourself. If you have not been informed, luckily on the 15th, the military were paid. There are no guarantees these people are going to be paid. We have veteran services have been drastically cut. And it impact beyond them because it impact jobs. It impact businesses that are not government affiliated, because if they're not spending money, those businesses, give it 6 months, they're going out of business. If you think this doesn't impact you, then you don't understand your own country, honey, or the economy. You have billions and billions of dollars go missing from a demographic, and you sitting there believing that it won't impact you. You think sitting in your house watching, see, let me tell you something. The work that I descended from, that my ancestor did, he fought. He fought. Y'all, I don't know what ancestors or people you come from, but honey, you wouldn't have been able to handle the civil rights. You're too comfortable and you're too scary. Child, please. I would not live under tyrannical rule on any day. On any day. I refuse to allow the demonic, the occultic to run this country. I refuse. I refuse to allow a prodigy of Hitler, Mussolini, to run this country. You understand me? And if you didn't know, Adolf Hitler was an occultist. Do your research, people. This ain't about money or just power. This is spiritual forces at work. And you all are ill equipped because it told you to go run and cower in the house. Talking about, oh, we told y'all to vote. Listen, y'all didn't even give us a chance to have a decent presidential nominee because your behinds didn't speak up to the last minute. That woman had less than 150 days to campaign. That's our fault. Are you grown enough to say that? Ugh. Quit letting them play in your face. Get offline. Go fast, even if it's for a day. Fast from social media and food for 24 hours to start the process, so you can start seeing and hearing clearly. Be on this afternoon. I have something to drop off for you.